Hey guys, welcome back. This is tutorial number 17, part 1. In today's tutorial we are going to be covering over a script request. This particular script request is by Dimitri Ava. He has requested the ability to have skills level up, and when those skills level up you will learn a new variant of that skill. And the idea that so basically you have fire, and fire will upgrade into Fira or Fire 2 or whatever you want to call it. So the idea is that one skill will lead to another when you learn them. So what you can do is you can start each player off with a base skill, say fire and ice, and as you go throughout the game you will automatically learn different variants of that. But you have to talk to this certain person to get this, thunder skill, and then you have to, and then from the point that you actually get it, then you can start leveling on it. So that's kind of the idea. So if you kind of accidentally skipped this person in the game, then you don't get the skill until considerably later, in which case your skill might not be as strong at that point as it would have been if you would have got it at the beginning of the game. And, something along those lines. It just provides another dynamic. So the idea here is that we have a list of skills, and each skill is going to take a certain amount of experience in order to gain a level, and then from that you will know what skill you can learn. So what we're going to do is we're going to generate a module here, and we're going to call this level skills. Okay? Inside of this module we're going to have two methods. The first method is going to return a list of skills which, not a list of skills, but it's going to say, for this skill, this is what you're going to learn. So for this particular example, I think we're going to use the hill skills, since Ralph already has those assigned to him. We're just going to start off with that. So what we're going to do is we're going to say def self dot, and we'll say next skill, and we'll pass it a skill ID, and then from that we'll run a case statement on the skill ID. This is the same in C# as switch. And then here we are going to give it a case for when the skill ID is equal to 33, which is the ID for the hill skill, and it will return 34, which is hill 2. Okay, and then we'll say 34, and it will return 35, which is, wow, I really cannot type tonight, hill 3. Okay, so this is what it will return there. Otherwise, it will always return nil. Okay, our next part is actually going to be what experience that skill level. Well, we'll just do level. Okay, or actually experience, and then we'll pass it the skill ID. Okay, we'll repeat this same idea. We'll give it the case statement, and then when 33, we will return that you need 500 experience in order to gain a level for it. And then when 34, that's hill 2, then we will return that it needs 1,000 experience. Okay, and then otherwise we'll just return 0. Now you don't actually have to put a return on it, but well, say for example you get through that and you weren't already returned. If you just put a 0 and end it, then it will return a 0. You don't have to put a return on the very last line, because it'll always return the last processed argument or command. So if that command was to generate a instance of 0, then it would return 0. So, but I like to put it on there just because it's more visually understandable. Okay, so now that we've got that, we can go ahead and close our module. And then the way I think I'm going to do this is we're going to do this as part of the game actor. And game actor is less than game battler, so we're going to add that inheritance in. And then I think we're going to modify the initialize method here. Initialize. And then we're going to alias that init game actor skill level initialize. And then what we do is we come down here and we copy the name that we just gave the old initialize method, and we give that, and then what we need to do is we need to pass whatever arguments we got to the other one here. So if you guys haven't seen this before, this is saying take all of the arguments that are received and store them in an array, in this case called args, or arguments. And then in which case here I'm going to pass it immediately back using the same method to pass it to the other or the older skill or initialize method. Okay, and then here we're going to create a new instance variable, and we're going to make it a hash. And the reason I'm making it a hash is because we can then specify a key. The key will be the skill ID, and then inside of that, and well, you know what, let's call it skill experience, because that actually just makes a little bit more sense. And inside of that, it will store the experience in which you have earned for that skill. Okay, so we are going to now go ahead and modify the gain experience method. And let's just go take a look at the original one here. So here we've got def gain experience with the experience you gain, whether or not it should show it inside of the battle system, and then it has a case here for double experience gain, which the change experience looks like it takes the current experience, adds what's new, and then passes it over to that. So that is just basically saying set the current experience is what that is. So let's go ahead and we're going to take and just copy this. Oops. Did I just move that? Anyways. Alright, so we come on down here, paste that in. We're going to alias the method gain experience skill level gain experience, and then here we're going to call the old one and specify the arguments in which we received. In this case here, I'm not going to bother storing it all in a single array and then reading it back out when I need it, because I do need this variable here of experience, because that is what's going to be added to our experience. However, we're going to actually do it, we're going to create a new method here called skill experience. Change skill experience. Okay, and then it's going to just add the current experience value, and it's going to add that to it. So let's go ahead, put that in there. We don't care about show, so let's get rid of it. And we don't want all of the experience, we only want what was gained. Okay, whether positive or negative, it will go in. Okay, so now we're going to generate a new method. This new method is going to take the past or gained experience, and then we're going to use that in order to add it to each of the skills in which we have. So basically, by doing it this way, what that's saying is that I am going to add a list, or I'm going to add experience to every single skill I have in my inventory of skills every time I gain experience. Now, if you wanted to actually trim this down to say only when I've used it during battle or something, you need to make a modification to the battle system to say, you know, set a flag on the actor to say here's what you used during the last battle, so that when you gain experience, you will only gain experience for the skills in that list. So the skills are listed on the players as just their IDs. So if we go take a look at Game Actor, here we've got our skills. Let's look up def skills. Okay, here we have our skills, and our index or our ID for the skill, and then it will go get that from the actual skill data. Oh, sorry about that. Hopefully that doesn't ruin the audio. Anyways, so here we've got our skills, and it is a list or an array of IDs, and then it will then go fetch that. So we're going to use @skills since we're already in the actor, and here we're going to say skills for I in skills, or I guess we could put skill in skills, but I'd prefer to put the ID on it because then you're not mistaken for the actual skill. You know it's the ID. Just generally, again, makes it more readable. Alright, so what we're going to do is for each one of the skills, we're going to say, does that skill have an upgradable, let's say, does it have a next skill? So we're going to say level skills. Oops, I need an underscore up there. Can't have spaces in your names. So we're going to say level skills dot next skill, skill ID. So if that is not equal to nil, so let's actually set this to next skill ID equals, and then we'll gather that and store it on there. Then we're going to copy that and say if that is not equal to nil, then we are going to check the experience. So we're going to go ahead and say skill experience, skill ID. So we're passing that the skill ID, and then if that is equal to nil, so we say if that is equal to nil, then we are going to set it to 0. Okay, and then we are going to go ahead and add the difference, plus equals experience. Okay, and now we are going to compare it to the skill experience. This skill experience. Level skills dot experience for skill ID. And let's put it this way here. So we're comparing that is greater than or equal to the experience that is required to gain a level for that skill. We say if you are greater than that, then we are going to learn skill next skill ID. Now learn skill is a method for the actor. Oops. And so here if we take a look, we pass it the ID, it will just make sure that that it is a valid skill. Although this is actually a method, we should probably go look at it. Oh, and it just says, do you already know it? Okay, and then it says it'll sort it into that list. Okay, so let's go back out here, and then we can go ahead and, well, actually that should do it. So we've now learned our skill, but we haven't passed any message back to the battle system to say, hey, I've learned a skill. So what we can do is we can actually set a flag for the player, and then learned skill flag or skill level up. And then we'll make this just an array, and then what we'll do is we will just add this skill into it. We'll say add in the data skills next skill ID dot name. We don't even need to know anything about it other than to say here's the name of it and here's who earned it. Now because this is part of the actor, then we don't even need to worry about it, or because we know that the actor is going to have a name, and in this case here we're assigning the skills to be inside of that. So we can just say has learned X, and then what you do is because it's an array, you can say has learned this and this and this. Okay, so we're going to take that and we need to make it exposed so that we can actually see it. So there's two things you can do here. I'm going to do an attribute reader, and all this does is the same as generating a method, which is basically the same as saying skill level up, and that would return that. So this is the same as this, but I'm going to do it as an attribute reader just because it's sometimes a little bit easier to read that way. So okay, so we've got that. And so now let's look at our battle system. And last time we used the Chrono Trigger battle system, but I never actually finished it. So what we're going to do is we're going to comment it out. Just add the keyword equals end at the very end of the script. Make sure that there is no spaces between the equal sign and the very beginning of the line. If there is, then this doesn't work. And then you do equal begin at the top. And as you notice, it turns everything green, signifying that everything has been commented out. Okay, so we are modifying the base battle system. So what we need to do is we need to add a message when you do this to say that they have earned a level. So what we probably need to find is the battle result. Let's see here. Win? No, that's going to be too generic. Gold. You're only going to gain gold. Here we are, process victory. Message window visible. Display gold. Display level up is probably where we want to make our modification. And let's see, level up, new skills. Sprint, blah blah blah, text. For skill in this, then push the skills. Now, new skills is part of display level up. So this looks at skills or equals last skills, so they do the level up stuff. So we can actually do the same thing here. So before you do a level up, it will gather your last skills before it even begins. It'll add them to it, and then it will read them back out, and it automatically does it. So honestly, I don't think we actually need to even bother, simply because when you change experience, it automatically sets those flags for you. However, that is part of change experience on the actor, so maybe not. Display level up, which is here, and it just adds that into the message. So maybe what we'll do is we'll just grab that code and we'll just modify it. Now let's see here, display level up, and here we are. It says go through each one of those. Actors gain your experience. So what we want to do is we want to modify that. So let's come down here and just paste what I copied out. That's for the actor. That's the code to actually add it in, and then this is the code to as part of the battle system. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of make a hybrid of it. Okay, and so here we're going to say class scene battle, which is less than scene base, and then we are modifying this method, which is right here. And so we can alias it and do a little bit beforehand and after. I think that's probably best, is what we do is alias it, because then you're more compatible with other scripts. That way you don't have any issues with them. Display level up, skill levels, and then that is display level up we call the old method which is this, okay, and it will automatically store the what we probably ought to do is do this. So we say old skills equals an array, and then for each one of the actors, and we probably actually want to do this before we do the old method. Okay, like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to say last skills equals skills, and actually we don't even need to store that off. What we'll do is we'll just put that in old skills push the actor skills. Now this will return an array of skills. Okay, so when it returns an array, this is going to store an array, but it's going to store an array based on the index of the game member. So it'll always process those in order. So what we'll do is we'll just read those back out in the same order. So by doing that, then we go ahead and give them their experience, which we'll go through and do all of that. We will then go ahead and read their skills back out. So we'll say for actor in, then we'll say old skills minus actor skills equals new skills. And actually we probably should just make sure we do that in proper math. So if the new stuff is there's more, then there will be the one left over, in which case it will have a array here, and in which case we will say for skill and new skills, add the text, something obtain skill, which should, I'm assuming, has learned this. Let's go look that up. Something was learned, but it doesn't actually specify which actor did it. So what we could do is we could actually add in actor.name plus that, plus we need a space between it, like that, and then you add the obtain skill. So and so skill was learned, skill name. Okay, and so we add that into the text. We close that off. So what we do is we do that for everyone, and then we say wait for any pending messages and make sure that we're all there. And then this here will actually display any skills that were earned just by leveling up. So that will be in there, and then this will actually add any additional skills. Okay, so I think that pretty much takes care of it. Let's go ahead and clear off that remaining data. And let's go ahead and try this out. So, as you remember from our last tutorial here, I created a battle start event. I've modified it here now to be slimes, and slimes are now going to reward 500 experience per hit. And so let's just go ahead and try this out. Alright, so we got our slime here. Let's go ahead and attack. Alrighty, and this should finish him off, if not. Okay, so Ralph's party was victorious, 1,000. Ralph is now level 6, Ulrika is now level 6. Cure was learned, Wind was learned. And so Cure was learned, Hill was learned, Hill 2 was learned, and Hill 3 was learned. I think there's some loop in here that's causing this to actually yeah, there's got to be some loop in there that's actually causing that to be done more than once. So here we said for the members, store their old skills. Oh, you know what? what we need to do is we need to, well, no, we can't do it that way. What I'm thinking, okay, so what's happening is it's reporting the skills being learned more than once, because this here is actually fetching all the list of skills before even the actor learns those skills, and then after they learn those skills, then we're going back through and saying, oh, by the way, you learned them again, even though we already learned them. So what we need to do is modify this somehow in order to not do that. I'm trying to think of the best way to do it, because this is actually adding the experience, which is just part of this display level up, part of the battle system. Okay, it just says go through everything, add the experience in gold, or display it, and then display the level up. Although I wonder if this, oh, it just says how much was earned. And then down here we've got get the total, add it to each of the members, gain experience, which in turn gain experience calls the actor here, which calls change experience. Change experience is here, and it will store the last skills and the new skills. So we can actually just let it report on them, because technically speaking, well, no, because the problem is that the change experience is adding the skills in for us. So if it's adding them in and then we report on them again, then it's kind of a waste of effort. So what we could do is actually just modify it as part of the change experience. But the problem is we don't know how much was actually earned. Well, I guess technically we do, because we can take the old experience and then we can minus it from that before it gets into it. So maybe we do have a method. Sorry to make this all complicated, and I'm talking to myself as I'm trying to figure it out, but I think that that's probably what we need to do, is we need to just take that and do the difference and figure it out before we do this, so that then we can add that to our list of skills. The best way would really be to just modify this method rather than aliasing it, but to maintain compatibility with other scripts, then you want to be sure that you always try to alias if you can. But I mean, the way to make this go easiest would be to, you know, come back in here and add it, where it rereads your skills back out. So skills right here is being the method skills to read that back out. Let's see. So what we'll probably want to do is we'll just not do this. So I'm just going to comment those out. And the gain experience should have already executed this, so we don't even need to do any of this, actually. Let's just go and try it and make sure that that works, because as long as I'm thinking right, that should do it. So let's just go ahead, fight. Okay. Executing the attacks. Wow, we're a bunch of weaklings. Alright, so Ralph's party was victorious, 1,000 experience, 10 gold, Ralph is level 6, Ulrika's level 6, Cure was learned, Wind was learned, Cure was learned, Wind was learned. So it's reporting that twice. But he actually learned Hill and Hill 3. So it added the experience more than once is really what that equates to. unless it's actually, you know what, I bet you